What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Book Club. This is a very, very special episode of Book Club today because we're not talking about a book. We are discussing Enola Holmes on Netflix, the movie that is based off of the book that we have just reviewed. And I'm excited. It's going to be an interesting discussion. I have some amazing friends with me. But first, before I welcome them in, I just want to let you guys know I have some background noise happening. So if you're hearing loud machines, they're cutting down trees across the street. So I do apologize. And that's about it. All right. I think it's time to welcome in our guests, and then I'll get to chat. First up, we've got Cinema Bear. Every time it cracks me up. Welcome in, Tim. Good to see you.
Good morning, or afternoon, rather.
Yeah, it's morning in actually not in California. That's right.
Maybe in Hawaii.
Hawaii. Good morning. That's true. Welcome in next to Gina, Classy Disney Mom.
Hi.
So good to see you. I missed you guys, I have to say. So it's good to be back.
Definitely.
So we're missing a couple of our usuals. Russ is working, which we're so excited about. And he has the best job ever. Could we just discuss? I'm not going to say, but he has the best job ever. Tracy also got mandated his work, and so he won't be coming in. And Chris is also working. So it's just us three, the three bears. All right, let's get to chat. Before we get into talking about the movie, I'm going to scroll all the way to the top, and I'm going to welcome in Debbie Burnfield. Welcome in. Good to see you. Tennessee Bear, also in chat. Sunshine, hello, Simone. It's good to see you. You coming in, Simone? Sunshine, Miss Sunshine. If you don't know her as Simone, we know her as Simone. Eric Lee, welcome in. Good to see you, Eric. Scroll down. I'm going to scroll down. I think I go. Ooh, Kay Atwood. Welcome in, Kay. It's good to see you. Ta-da. And that's it. Okay, I think I'm all caught up. All right, so today we're talking Enola Holmes, The Case of the Missing Marquess, the movie. Except I don't think they even call it The Case of the Missing Marquess. I think it's just Enola Holmes.
Yeah, I think it is too.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I'm curious, what did you guys think of the movie?
Go ahead, Gina.
I liked the movie. It definitely was very different. Some things were similar, but most of it was different. The organization of it were different. Some of the things that they were talking about in the movie, in the book with the ship and I know that the movie consolidated, I think, probably the rest of the books because we do end up finding out where the mother was and what she was doing. And in this particular book, we didn't. And then other little nuances that were different. So I didn't dislike the movie. I liked it. It's just that it was different than the book. So if you watch the movie, it is different from the book. So you just get a different, sort of a different synopsis of it. Right. Even though the general story is there, yeah. So.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Real quick, Jeff C., welcome in. Good to see you. Yeah, the movie on its own, not based off of the book, would be a great movie. But I think it's a really, really loose adaptation of the book. Like, extremely loose, like hanging by a thread. Because there were some pieces that they left in, and then there was a lot. Probably about 98% that they left completely out that the book described. It's that different. So Tim, what do you think?
Well, I kind of echo some of what Gina said. I actually liked the movie. I've watched it a couple of times now because I watched it and then I wanted to watch it again before we talked about it last week, and I almost watched it again yesterday and I forgot about it and didn't do it, so I didn't have time today. But it was. If I hadn't read the book, I think it would have been a good movie on its own.
Mhm.
It had so many. They did leave out a lot of details that the book used to reach the conclusion that it did.
Yep.
But they left out. I think they left out some parts. I think that would have been good in the movie. I mean, they pretty much left out all the oh, Madame Trousseau. I can't think of her real name.
Oh, Madam Fakes Bottom.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
they left her out completely.
Yeah.
I think, didn't they?
Yeah, that
Uh,
whole that and the whole
that-
boat scene.
Yeah, that whole part was
Mhm.
kind of left out. So they
Yeah.
brought Tewksbury in a whole different way.
Yeah.
And my first thoughts on it were, well, maybe they're and maybe this is still how I think about it. Maybe they never intended on doing another movie or didn't figure they would ever do it. So they kind of wrap some things up quicker than they would have in the book, where there's obviously several additions. But I don't know. That's kind of what I thought. I've read ahead a little bit to the next book. Well, I've read the next book actually, and there's a couple of things in the movie I think that echo from that movie. So I think they've rolled some things in. They may have rolled a few things in from the later movies a little bit. Again, to help fill in maybe some spaces that the book may have left people wondering about. Well, I mean, just like her mother. I mean, we really didn't know for sure about her mother, except we think she's with gypsies in the book, but we never saw her.
Right.
We never met her. In the movie, they did bring her in briefly just to say, "You're on your own," kind of thing.
Right.
Good luck, but I'm alive, but you're on your own. And they tied her in more with, and I don't want to dominate the whole conversation, but they tied her in more with suffragettes as opposed to just gypsies.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And the fact that she felt like that might be an unsafe situation for
Right. So, as a question for you guys,
Enola.
what is the biggest change that the movie made, do you think, or that you didn't like? Because I've got one, so I'll go.
Go ahead.
Sherlock. In the book, Sherlock is
Mhm.
made out to be this, I don't know, what do you want to call it? Not maybe sexist.
Mhm.
Kind of looks down on women as the lesser sex. And in the movie, they turned him around and made him out to be, actually, for me at least, the impression I got was still somewhat along those lines, but he really took an interest in Enola. And then at the end, he takes control. He wants to be her ward, except what happens? She's nowhere to be found. And so,
Right.
he goes from, in the book where he's like, you don't know how to do this, you don't know how to do that, you're dressing like this and you should dress like that, to on screen really taking pride, I think, in his sister, in the way she actually is and who she is.
Mhm.
So for me, that was a huge character change for Sherlock. I
Mm-hmm.
think that they
It
did.
was. I mean, I kind of like the fact that he seemed to be, at least one of her brothers was taking an interest in her. It was
Yeah.
a big change from the book, and I think in some ways you almost have to see how things were in the book to make some of the sense of why she did some of the things she did.
Yeah.
For example, if you just saw the movie, you'd kind of wonder why she didn't go ahead and go to him and stay with him and learn from there. But in the book, you kind of know why that is.
Yeah.
The other thing I didn't like about the movie was that they let Mycroft come in and take her money.
Yeah.
Mhm.
What I didn't like about that was the fact that she gave it up so easily. I would think she would have hidden it or fought for it a little bit more, but
Yeah.
that
Well,
part
that in the movie, she actually goes to the boarding school, which in the book she doesn't. Like, I
that's true.
hated that
True.
whole scene.
Mhm.
Absolutely hated. And then Viscount Tewksbury comes and rescues her out of a hamper basket, whatever the heck you want to call those things. Like,
Mhm.
yeah, just not believable. Movie Mania Nick, welcome in. Good to see you.
Hey, Nick.
Nick went and saw, what was it that he went to see today? Dang it. Nick, what movie was it? Just came out. It wasn't Black Widow, I don't think. Anyways, all right. All that to say, I'm sure we'll get a movie review soon from Movie Mania Nick. So make sure that you're subscribed to his channel because he's really awesome. Okay, go ahead, Gina. What about you?
So I definitely agree with the Sherlock. I was happy to see that he almost had, like a fatherly role, almost like he cared for her, and I really liked
Yeah.
seeing that. But they Tewksbury, like in the book, it makes it like he's not a little kid, but not a teenager like they make it in the movie. And it almost seems like there's a little bit of a crush going on between the two of them.
Right.
And that definitely, so I mean, that was kind of cute. And it's totally different. Like he didn't have the blonde or whatever.
Yeah.
So they
Curls.
kind of, yeah, that
Yeah.
whole thing. And he was a little bit more, I don't know what the word is. Maybe a bratty or something in the book, but in the movie, he's actually, he actually has a little bit more of a humility, maybe. And so I kind of like that. I mean, his family is pretty interesting, but I'm sure we'll talk about that a little bit later, which was nowhere mentioned in this book. I mean,
No, that's true. That's another good factor. They kind of took, and to me, they kind of took away the fact that he had been so coddled all his life, or by his mother, kept small, which he was a lot younger in the book than he was in this. I mean, I felt like in the movie he was at least as old as her, if not a year or two older, whereas in the book he was younger than her, I believe, a year or two.
Yeah.
And
He was 12.
but instead of that reason for leaving, I think I came away with the feeling he was leaving because of some other things. And I didn't get the feeling he really wanted to go off and be a sailor so much as just get away. Although I think he did have books. He did have information. Well, he did mention the docks, and they weren't what he thought they'd be. So maybe he had intended to, but
well, and the other thing that confused me was in the movie, and it doesn't talk anything about. In the movie, they made it out to be that his uncle, or what they thought was his uncle, was trying to murder him, and instead of being kidnapped for the ransom money. So in the book, he ran away on his own accord. In the movie, he ran away, I don't know, because I forget what his reasoning was, but he was also being sought after by someone hired by his family to kill him because of the vote of the reform
movement, yeah.
the reform movement. So yeah, I mean,
I thought the way that, it was so, like, the scene where later on, almost towards the end of the movie, they were, like he was hiding where all the armor, I forget what they're called, those the armors were in the hallway, and I was thinking to myself, like, because of the politics that were going on and the decision making, and now that it was going to be up to him, and how his especially one particular person in his family was so resistant, that person, in order to keep the politics the way that they were, was willing to get rid of her own family like that. And that was a little bit more of an intense part that I wasn't expecting at all. So yeah.
Yeah, that was a big turn from the book. I don't even I think they did mention his grandmother in the book. I'm trying to remember now because they're running together on me a little bit, but they didn't really talk about much of anything else. I don't remember what the story was about his father in the book, but he'd been murdered in the movie.
Hey, Brian.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that was really different. I mean, again, I think it was a pretty decent movie. I think they could probably continue it on, and just continue to kind of shift things as they've done already.
Yeah. Well, and I guess they're filming Enola Holmes too, which is going to be
Oh, they are?
interesting. Yeah, they are. So
Okay.
Oh.
if they combined all the books into this one movie, what more could they possibly be putting into a sequel? Is
Mhm.
where it's going to be interesting to find out.
Yeah.
So, hey, Chris, welcome in.
Well, there's still things going on, and like I said, I've looked at some of the other books to see if I wanted to read them, and probably will, just because this one turned out to be pretty good. There's a lot there. They didn't tie it all up because there's different mysteries. Things she does differently that or give her some more.
Yeah.
There's some interesting twists in the second book that she, for example, and I'm not going to go into a lot of detail, but she doesn't. In the first book, she moves into Miss Fakes Bottom's offices and builds her business from there. And then the second book, because they don't talk about that in the first movie, they don't talk about that in the second movie. So she has to go. They go about that in a different way.
I'll be right back.
And that makes it somewhat different. You were not going very long.
So,
Yeah.
question to answer while I'm gone. What is something that you liked better that they did with the movie than in the book?
Be my guest.
I mean, so the couple of things is it seemed like she had a closer relationship with her mom in the movie, which in the book it just seemed like they were distant. It wasn't like close, but it wasn't like there was trouble. It just they didn't really have much of a relationship.
It was different, yeah.
Yeah, and here it seemed like she really trained her, spent a lot of time with her. They did all kinds of activities. I guess that's why it made it more sad when she left, like when all of a sudden she left, because it seemed like in the movie there was definitely like a bigger hole. Not like in the book there wasn't, but it was different because it seemed like they weren't really interacting a whole lot, And of course, Sherlock, I was happy that they made him out to be nicer, someone who wasn't mean and just cold. So.
Yeah, I did too. I thought it takes away from the character. Like I said, it was a big change from the book. But he was, even in the book though, he wasn't quite as cold a fish as Mycroft. Mycroft was all business, and he didn't even approve of what Sherlock does. So he's not going to approve of what anybody else does. In the movie, they continue his character, I thought, fairly well. Maybe made him a little bit more devious, but I suspect he was devious to begin with. But I did like it. I kind of, from the movie standpoint, I kind of liked the fact that they showed that her mom had prepared her a little bit better for protecting herself a little bit and doing some things like that. Because, in the book, she's gone again. In the book, she was out there pretty much on her own trying to figure things out and didn't have any sense of self-protection. I didn't think. And in the movie, she at least had some rudimentary background, which I just felt like probably not has anything to do with the book. It's just that I felt like she had a better chance of surviving, I guess, maybe on her own, because she had those in that kind of learning a little bit. I was actually surprised, and I don't know, you can tell me what you think about this, but I was a little bit surprised that she didn't, and I don't remember her name, but the lady that taught the Taekwondo or whatever that was teaching the other ladies how to fight. Yeah. I was a little surprised that Enola didn't start taking lessons or something from her as a way to make herself a little bit more.
Well, I think she took lessons from her as a little kid.
Yeah, I agree there. I think she was there at her house and probably did too. I just thought when they brought her into the movie like that, they might add some more to that or give her a chance to, because she's experienced the bad world, if you will, of London by now, and I think I don't know if squeaky guy who wasn't squeaky. The combination of squeaky and fake bottoms. I don't know if he had tried to cut her by then or not. I mean, he tried to kill her in the book and the movie, or at least cut her. In the book, in the movie, it was a little bit more even dramatic, I thought, than the book, because it was a little bit more of a, you could see the blood in his eye kind of thing. Maybe that was just me, but
Right.
but anyway,
Well,
we'll see. I mean, I'll see. But I'm now that I know there's another movie, I'm curious to see how they do that. Because I do think it could be, they could do more movies out of it. How much they follow the book might be a whole nother story. But I think there's at least 4 books, maybe 6. So there's plenty of material there if they wanted to. I think. Of course, by then should be old enough to be on her own, because I believe at that time they said she had to be at least 18, or was it 21? I'm not sure. I'm not, now that I say that, I'm not sure.
Oh, that's interesting, because back then you were allowed to get married at you came out at 15.
Yeah, or even 14. I mean,
even 14. Yeah. So maybe because she's a woman, they set that age limit.
Right. That was the thing. She couldn't be on her. And even then, it was hard to say whether she could own things or not, because they were very, women didn't have a lot of rights until the reform started.
Right. And
because that's why her mother was in the position she was in, because Mycroft owned everything. As far as the law was concerned, she lived by Mycroft. I mean, say hi. Say hi, Gina.
Aww. He's so cute.
He come up, gave me a nudge, but now you want to hang around or not? Let's see if he stays. He might not. He's in his chair. He'll sit here and listen, but he's not going to be on TV, he said. Hard to say. He comes up and wants up, but then he doesn't want to stay up.
Yeah. Aww.
Sometimes. Anyway, so have you looked at any of the other books, Gina, at all?
No, I haven't. I think if they hadn't, because I didn't know, before I watched the movie, I was like, I wonder if it's just going to be based on this book, or if it's just going to be like a summation of all of them. So after I watched the movie, I didn't look into any more of the books. I think maybe, I definitely would. They seem well written and interesting. I liked it a lot. So yeah.
It was a fun book to read. I thought it was well done, and it was just a good fun read, fairly quick reading, if you will. But after I watched the movie and I had to figure out if they had linked the two that much. And yes, they did. No, they didn't. So it's the movie won't by any means spoil the book for you. The next book, if you choose to read it, it's there's a lot in it, and that's where she's done a really good job of writing these books. She did put a lot of detail in them and thought it out. Obviously, she did a good job.
Yeah.
And good for her for getting the money that a movie probably got her. Even if it's, I don't know how much money they make on Netflix movies, but I'm sure it's plenty.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. I'm sorry. I'm trying to. Today we're gonna pick the next book, so I was trying to find my list. The list of books that we had thrown in and that people had given suggestions of that they would like to see. Surf Bum John, welcome in.
Hey, John.
So I was just trying, and then I knew there was a book that I had forgotten, and I was trying to browse Instagram to see if I can remember who had sent me the message and what book, because I wasn't home when I had gotten the message. I was in Boston, so I didn't have my notebook with me, but that's okay. Whatever we pick, we pick.
Hey, Chris, I didn't see you come in.
So I'm going to add the names to the wheel. I know we have another half hour left. So let's just keep talking. I don't know. Those are my 3 questions, or my top 2 ones was, what were some of the differences, the biggest one, and then the biggest similarity.
Well, did you say what your favorite change was, or did you say that
My
you
favorite,
left and we?
I didn't say. And actually, I don't, if I really had to think about it, probably my favorite change was the Sherlock. It was the biggest change for me, but it was also, it was my favorite, I think, because I like the way, I would like to think that Sherlock had a soft spot somewhere in there, and even though he's not portrayed as such in books, even in, I mean, if we go back to the book that we read back, last year, we did the case of the
Scarlet.
study in Scarlet. And I always think Study in Pink because I think of the TV show. Um, but if we go back to the book that we did and we really look at his character, he really he's he's not the way, in my opinion, he's not the way that Benedict Cumberbatch portrays him to be. He's not. He's
Mm,
more of a practical guy, less of a sociopath. But in this book, they really made him out to be like a sexist, look down on women guy. And yeah, he can be a bit of a narcissist, but with Sherlock, I really saw a lot of down to earth and practicality with him too in that book. And in the movie, I think they brought that back. So that was something that I enjoyed. I really
yeah.
did enjoy that. So that was my thing. All right, I'll stop talking. Somebody else go.
No,
No,
it's good
go ahead.
because. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. That's what I was going to say. Go. I was going to say we had been talking, so it's her turn anyway. So she didn't.
Yeah, no, I wanted to see. It's good because it's like there's similarities, but every person is going to see something, in a little bit of a different way, and it's really because you learn, and I think that's the most fun.
That's right.
So
I remembered the book. Someone wanted me to add Pilgrim's Progress.
I have to say the end, like I felt like it was kind of like a little bit of a split with me because if it wasn't for people like her mom, I'm not sure we would have the same kinds of privileges and rights that we have now, because it took people a lot of bravery and a lot of courage and a lot of sacrifice to get to what was accomplished. But I still felt so bad for her that she had to be left behind, like that her daughter. And then it made me think of, well, there were, the sacrifices in order to have. I don't think I would have been able to do that. But yet, I was telling my husband, I said, I don't know why, but it gave me this vibe, because my family, everyone, they left Sicily and they came here because there was just no more work at that time, like in the 60s. And my grandfather, when my mom and her two siblings were young, after the war, he had to work in Venezuela for years at a time because there was no work in Italy. And then finally he came back and they're like, well, let's just go to the United States because maybe we'll just have a little bit of a different life. So, and I just told my husband, I'm like they didn't have Zoom or anything. There was letters, and it often took, like, from the stories that I've heard, weeks and things. And I thought, it's a lot of sacrifice to make the changes, to make a better way, I guess, for people that are after you. And that's exactly what I thought, even though as a mom, I'm not sure if I guess I wouldn't have been a trailblazer in that way because I don't think I would have been able to leave her, or I would have done it differently. Maybe I would have tried to get somebody to watch her. And like in Mary Poppins, remember the mother, how she would like go and then, well, I mean, they had a nanny, so, but like she was still around, but she would like, she did a lot of that stuff. It was kind of comical, but it was the same idea, I guess,
Yeah.
So, and she had money. So I think,
Right.
maybe that probably made a difference. But her husband didn't know a thing. But so yeah, I think that was the end.
And I realized something, because at first I was a little perturbed that she went off and left her 14-year-old daughter. In the book, she's 14. In the movie, she's 16. We know that. But back then, Enola was old enough to be on her own. Or she should have been. And so then when I actually had that thought, I was like, well, yeah, that's a good point. But in the book, they talk about a governess. Usually, if you're often married by the time you're out in society, you don't have a governess anymore. So when they mentioned that in the movie, I was like, that's a little odd, because she's 16 in the movie, And so I'm like, well, wait a minute. If she was old enough to be off and on her own, why are they talking about putting her in border school, whatever the thing is, and or getting a governess? She's old enough to be on her own. They need to let her be on her own. I mean, that perturbed me a little bit then. So, but yeah.
Yeah, I think. Well, I don't know if this is the case, but I mean, part of me thinks maybe that's just because one felt like while she was that age, she still didn't know how to be on her own because she hadn't had that education that Mycroft at least felt like she needed, and it was standard, I guess, at that time for people of her standing, and I had a whole nother thought there to add to that, and that completely, that train keeps running off and leaving me. I don't know. I've lost my train of thought. So, shoot, something you said triggered it. So now I'll have to remember. I'll have to go back over it. But that was part. But and then back to what Gene was saying too. That was today. That may not seem. We may think that was just a matter of well, heck, women are still fighting for things. I mean, let's face it. But back then, they really did have to. They weren't really considered as a whole, at least not in that sort of civilized society. They had a different place. I think it might have been different if women in this country, even then, maybe not at that time, but earlier when they were pioneers, women played a big role, and they were probably just as significant as the male in many ways, although they still didn't have quite the same rights. I mean, they didn't get the right to vote here until 1920. So that kind of thing was still different. They had to fight for that, but they weren't considered equals at all. So it would have been a pretty big. It could have been a pretty big battle in its own rights.
Yeah, that's true. And the thing with the dynamite. She found the dynamite in the storehouse on the lane, whatever lane that was called, House Lane or something. I don't know.
Something House Lane, somebody's name or something named House Lane.
Yeah, I thought that was like they, found explosives and all that other stuff, and I was like, well, what the heck were they planning to do? Which I'm sure they explained in the movie. I just think I missed it.
Well, they sort of made it assume that if they hadn't got the bill passed, that they were probably going to blow up something to get people's attention, is what I kind of took it. But that didn't happen.
Right.
The bill did get passed, so they didn't, nothing blew up. Is that kind of how I took it.
Yeah. All right, it's 3:40. I'm going to pull up the Wheel of Names. Let's go over some last-minute thoughts. Any closing statements about the movie? I said everything that I want to say, so you guys can take the wheel.
Go ahead, Gina.
Me too. I think, just what I mentioned before, that was it struck me. So that was I guess, the strongest feeling that I had. So, yeah.
All right, and so before Tim goes, real quick, does anybody have a book that they want? I'm sorry for the echo. I don't know what's going on. Does anybody have a book that they want to suggest? I will put it in the Wheel of Names right now. Just put it in chat and let me know. Jack Twaddle, welcome in. All right, Tim, go ahead. Speak your piece.
I was trying to think of books too. Um, no, I think like I said, I enjoyed the book. Part of me is sorry they didn't follow the book a little closer in the movie, but as a standalone movie, I thought it was a good movie.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was fun. I thought it was, I'd say, family friendly. I mean, it wasn't just full of blood and gore and guts kind of thing, but
Mm-hmm.
it had some important thoughts. I mean, it had some things to think about. It did, but it did lead me to want to follow up on it. So like I said, I'm probably going to read some more of the books just because it's a fun read, and sometimes you just need to read fun things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've spent a lot of time in my life reading real detailed history books and studying and science books and things like that. So sometimes I just like to read things that are light and easy.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not so light, but fun, that I think are fun. Everybody has different ideas of fun. This book
Mm-hmm.
was fun. I used to read Louis L'Amour, and I know Louis L'Amour westerns were kind of some people laugh about that, but to me they were fun. They were well written and researched because Louis L'Amour did a lot of research before he wrote even the books he wrote. Dime novels weren't just dime novels, dime westerns or whatever. Things like that. So this book kind of fit into that for me. So it's something I could pick up and read just any time and just relax and clear my mind. And I thought it was well done. So it was definitely worth the. I mean, I enjoy things like The Hobbit too, but there's a lot more detail in some of that, and it takes me longer to get through them because I'm thinking about it too much.
Mm.
And so this book didn't. While I did look back on some things and figure some things out, it wasn't quite the same, and
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. So I do think I'll probably read some more of them, even if they are young adult books.
They're
I'm
good.
old. It's still
Mm-hmm.
good. I thought it was good. Yeah, I thought they were
Yeah.
well done.
Absolutely.
Anyway, that's it. That's all I have to say about that.
Alrighty. All right. No last minute suggestions. I added two that I wanted to add in. Um, Anybody? Bueller, going once.
I'm good, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'm gonna shuffle. I'm gonna shuffle some more. Shuffle some more. Shuffle some more. Okay. Here we go. Bing. Traveler.
Traveler.
Who suggested that one?
I did.
Oh, look at that. Awesome.
Well,
Okay, so go ahead, Tim.
I hope everyone finds that to be someone. It's a book written on a whole different perspective of. It's a Civil War era book, but it's written from a horse's perspective,
Oh,
Oh,
which
that's
makes it kind of
interesting.
unique.
that's really, yeah.
I just
Oh,
threw
I
it in
love
there because
that.
it's on my shelf, and I read it years ago, and I thought, well, that might be kind of fun to read again, and
Okay.
do for the book club. And I can't remember the guy's name that wrote it, but he put everything from
Richard Adams.
maybe it is Richard Adams actually.
Is it?
I
I'm
believe it
gonna.
is.
Let me see.
Yeah.
All right, let me see.
Uh,
Hold
Traveler
on a
was
bit.
Robert E. Lee actually had the horse Traveler throughout the war, which was very unusual.
Yep.
Horses got killed a lot. They weren't treated well in wars. They got shot out from under riders, and
Yeah.
there were thousands of horses. Even in World War I, that happened up to then.
Hmm.
But this horse lasted the entire war. So what this guy, the author, did here was give a perspective of the entire war through the animal's eyes. It's really kind of different.
Interesting.
So is
Hmm.
this the book? This one?
That's it.
Okay.
So it's not really
Traveler.
a blue and gray kind of book. It's not so much about that.
Right.
It just is a whole different perspective of what's going on there.
Okay.
Interesting.
I thought it was a pretty good book like I said, years ago. I don't know if you guys ever heard of this guy. They may still do this. I think it's a different guy. There was a man named Dick Estelle who worked, I think, for the University of Michigan, maybe, or taught there. And public radio used to do a story time when he would read parts of a book every day, or I guess he did it every day. And I used to hear it at lunch. So when I was working in Nashville, my friend Phil kind of turned me on to that, and I started listening to it during my lunch break. And for 30 minutes a day, he would read a part of a book. He'd read the entire book over a period of, weeks. And that's the first place I heard some of these. And I picked it up and took it and read it myself. But it's another nerd fact in my life, I guess. But I thought it was a really interesting perspective in a book. So I hope everybody can enjoy it. We'll see.
All right. So this is our next book, Traveler by Richard Adams. And now we should probably discuss the new format. The new format. I can't talk today. So I think we are going to go monthly, read the book, and then once a month we'll come back and we'll review it. It's just because there's so much going on. And I mean, unless you want to rotate channels, totally up to you guys. But because how many of us are there? I don't think we'd be able to. And Tracy might not be able to, and Russ. So,
I think let's try it and see how it goes.
Yeah, and then when things start to slow down in the fall, we'll see if we want to change the format again. So for right now,
we might do twice a month or something if we want to add more, but don't want to. I mean, I'm just saying. I'll be honest with you, I miss it if we're not doing it because I miss the company and the camaraderie every week.
Yeah,
and the conversations, but my life's not quite as busy as everybody else's is. So
true.
But I think we should try that and just see what happens. So that being the case, then how far out does that put us for our next meeting?
So the next one will be 1, 2, 3, 4. Right, let's do Monday, August 23rd.
Okay.
How does that work?
That works. Is
that enough time? How many pages is this book? Will it be enough time to read the whole thing?
Oh, I don't have it in front of me, so I don't know. It's over on the desk. I can go tell you real quick. Well, it probably tells right here.
Oh, it is 269 pages.
It's not, and it's not a real deep.
Bad.
I mean, we can probably do that. I mean, most people can probably do that. I don't think it's that. I don't think it's written in like a bazillion words per page kind of thing.
Right. Mm-hmm. But yeah, okay. So that's the book. Mm-hmm. And what else were we gonna do? I think that was all. I think we did housekeeping.
I think that was it.
Fire Project, welcome in. All right, so lineup for tonight, guys. 4:30. Kenzie is doing a premiere. She's not going to be going live, but Kenzie Days will have a premiere. 6 o'clock. Steve's World is going to be doing a fundraiser for Give Kids the World on his channel. So go check out Steve's World. And all these links can be found if you go to my YouTube page on the main page. I have all my friends linked on the bottom. And then 7 o'clock Adventures with VP and Rally Creative Travel. And then 8 o'clock 6 to 9 Steve's World will still be live, and then 9 o'clock is Meg, and then Via Project will be live with the roundtable, and then Gonzo's on at 10:30 with Guided Phone. So it's not karaoke night, it's game night, and Pepper Tree Villa at 9:30, and it's Arnie and Ben's birthday today, so go over and say happy birthday.
Okay.
Steve had a schedule change, still streaming at 6 o'clock. Yeah, that's what I thought, right? It's still at 6 with Steve. Okay. Those are all of our amazing friends. Go check them out. This echo's driving me nuts. Unmute. Did it work? It worked.
Yeah.
All I had to do was mute myself. Okay. And thank you guys so much for joining. Next book club, August, what did we say was August 23rd?
Yeah.
August 23rd. The book is Traveler. And I look forward to seeing you guys. Have a great night. Please know that you are loved and appreciated. Join me Wednesday for Wednesday Whateverness, and I have a 500 subscriber giveaway. Oh, you guys got to promote your channels. What am I doing? Tim. First.
Right now, I'm still working on my possible other show idea. I may go there tomorrow and try to record some stuff, but that probably won't be on tomorrow. But I will be back on Saturday, as far as I know. Still planning on doing a Saturday show. I don't have anything in particular scheduled, so come on out and drink some coffee.
Awesome. And Gina, you're excited because
Yes, I finally got a new webcam. My husband got like a tripod. We got a light because the lighting in here is kind of tricky at certain times of the day. And I think I'm going to be recording a vlog. So we're getting started. My daughter's going to be editing. She's really, really good at. She has her own channel too. I'll probably talk about it a little bit when I'm doing mine. She's really good at editing, and she's almost done with school. So it's going to be. I'm really excited. It's going to be a little bit weird, but I'm excited about it. We'll see how it goes.
I look forward to it. That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, guys, go check out my amazing friends. Have a great day. Know that you are loved and appreciated and that you are a blessing. Think of a wonderful thought, any merry little thought.